Hey, it's Janae here to brighten, enlighten, and ignite your day. It's Transformation Tuesday, and I'm here with another edition of The Gist, helping you get inspiration and start your transformation. Today's resource is The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. Escape the 9 to 5, live anywhere, and join the new rich. Now, I had heard about this book for years and thought it would be about time to actually read it. And there's a lot here and just a completely different paradigm on how to look at our lives. More of this idea of how do we outsource the things that don't really matter and really get crystal clarity on the things that do matter. So the inspiration I had, a ton of things, like I said, but the one thing is that it's all kind of based on is this idea of what he calls dreamlining. Dreamlining. So the idea of, perfect time of year now to think about that as we think of our I Have a Dream Day recently from Martin Luther King too. But dreamlining is all about, what are those things? If you couldn't fail, you could do anything in the world, what would it be? And so many of us haven't actually taken the time to do it because it just doesn't seem realistic, or we think we can't do it until we are retired. So he just talks about you need to do your dreamlining and not have it be so far out there, but in 6 to 12 month increments to think about our dreams. And then once you've defined what they are, thinking about it from what are the dreams of having, the things you want to have, having, doing, and being. Having, doing, and being from all these different aspects. So the kinds of things you want to have, the kinds of things that you want to do, and then who do you want to be in the process as well. But then what's really important about that is he says, based on that, then you need to figure out how much is that going to cost you to do that, because then it helps you figure out what is your target monthly income. So for example, one thing he said is, easy if something you wanted to do was to have a trip, right? Then you could figure out what the cost of the trip is. And if you want to do that in 6 months, then you could divide it each month what that might look like. But, maybe if you wanted to learn how to speak a different language, then how much time and effort is that going to cost you to try to break that out as well? Because he said once you know what things cost you, how much time, then you can figure out how to make that happen. So as you're thinking about your dreams and resolutions and goals, maybe this idea dreamlining, putting it on a timeline to really make it alive and happen, and then you could break it down to what's that one thing that you can do right now to start moving ahead on that. Okay, so the transformation is, for me, this 80-20 rule, and of course you've probably heard about the Pareto principle, and many books write about this, that the 80-20, that typically we get 80% of our results from 20% of our efforts, but yet we focus on so many things. And I know I'm totally one of those who doesn't necessarily put this into practice, but this is definitely how I'm going to look at structuring my year, is maybe not looking at working so hard on the things that don't matter to people or matter to my bottom line, but to the things that really do matter and putting your efforts there. So there are a couple key questions that he had around this principle that were really helpful that I wanted to share with you too. Okay, so he says, when you're thinking about alternative ways to phrase this, it could be 80% of the consequences flow from 20% of the causes. 80% of results come from 20% of your effort and time. 80% of your company profits come from 20% of the products and customers. 80% of stock margin gains are realized by 20% of investors. He also said, which 20% of sources are causing 80% of your problems and your unhappiness? And which 20% of the sources are resulting in 80% of my desired outcomes and happiness? So a great way to look at that is, in your life, what are the things that bring you joy and what's really core and causing that, versus the opposite? What are the things that are causing you those problems and issues, and is there ways you can eliminate it? And he goes through an example of truly what changes life is he was spending long hours, because remember the 4-hour work week, that day he was spending 15-hour days, chasing everything and everyone. And then when he realized who were his really true core customers and areas, and he eliminated everything else, it just transformed his business, which then could transform his life to still make the same amount of profits with very much less effort. So this year, again, you want those dreams to come true, and who you want to be, what you want to do, and what you want to have. And so how can, like me, you apply this 80-20 rule just to look at your way that it can be realizing more of the fruits of your labor than always being the one laboring. So from my heart to yours, be love.